So I've always been a really weird person, and in fact, I've always had a hard time fitting in with other people. And back in school, I used to get picked on a lot. I remember middle school. That was the worst time of my life. I used to get picked on. I used to get beat up, and the worst part about it was that I used to just take it. I had a lot of insecurities, and I had moved here from a different state, so I was starting all over, and I just wanted desperately, so bad, just to fit in with other people. So even though the cool kids in school, I remember they would make fun of me and tease me, I would laugh, and I would laugh with them making fun of me. They used to call me fat because I had a little gut. They would call me chunk. They used to, because I have tan skin, they used to call me a Mexican and tease me about mowing their lawn and all kinds of just really mean things. And I just took it because I was insecure, and from the summer going into middle school to high school was when I got into drugs and marijuana to start with, and uh, and for me, it was it was a gateway for me finally being able to be accepted by the people and to develop a strong peer network. And I remember, and real quickly I got into drug dealing, and I was a drug dealer actually for 7 years from starting at the age of 14 and I got very quickly I got arrested actually at 14. And I've always, I was a smart kid. I was very studious, and um, but for me, dealing drugs, smoking weed, all that was a way for me to finally fit in and to be accepted. And that was it. And I remember thinking about that at the peak of my career when I was dealing like crazy. I was making more money than everyone in my family combined, and I didn't, surprisingly, I didn't care about the materialism that much. I remember writing in my journal, and I remember thinking many times to myself that what I liked most about this lifestyle was finally having friends, and the feeling of being liked so much, and the feeling of fitting in with other people. And that was the biggest high for me. I got invited. All of a sudden, I went from being this kid who was picked on all the time to being this kid that was invited to every single party. Everybody was always calling me, asking me to hang out, inviting me to every party. I had older girls that were trying to get with me, and it was like my whole life flip flopped, and it was all very fake. But to me, it just meant so much to me at the time. And I remember when I finally quit dealing, I remember all of a sudden it was like as if my phone had broke. All of a sudden, my phone just stopped ringing. I suddenly stopped getting invited to all the parties. I stopped getting invited to hang out with people, and that really taught me a lot. That friends, I couldn't really depend on them too much. And by the time I quit, I actually quit right around right near the end of college, right as I was graduating college, and so I was a grown man, becoming a grown man at that point, and I had to learn to depend on myself, but I still had that gap in my heart. This is a real message. I'm just sharing this from the heart here. Friday night, home by myself. This is typical for me. I still don't have a lot of friends, and I remember that gap after I quit dealing. I tried to fill it in different ways. Got hooked into gambling. I became a gambling addict for a while, and I started hanging out with friends who loved to drink and party like crazy. And for me, that was a way to fill that gap of that void from not dealing, of going out with friends who were drinking all the time and partying all the time, and that whole long story ended up messing up my life even more. And as I grew older, I started to, and I realized the destruction that I was doing in my life. Grateful, that I had this awareness that I knew that I wasn't living authentically. in that it was like I was building a house of cards, and I would try to break away to improve, but I would end up getting sucked back in to into these dark, destructive type of lifestyles due to social situations, wanting to fit in with other people. Whether it was smoking weed, drugs, dealing, gambling, going out drinking, whatever. It was always to try to fill that gap in wanting to fit in with other people and to finally have be accepted. And what I've come to learn over the years as I've gotten older, I'm 32 now, about to turn 33 years old, and something that I've lived alone now for many years, and I've come to realize that the time that I'm at the absolute most peace in my life is when I'm by my absolute self. And I know that may sound kind of dark, might sound kind of weird or whatever. I'm a very social person. When you see me out and about, I'm good at being that social chameleon and socializing with others. I've trained myself how to be pretty social and hang out and meet other people and network and things like that. But I love being by myself, and I think a big reason why is because when I'm by myself, I just have this sense of peace that I'm not trying to impress anybody else, and I'm not trying to be somebody that I'm not, and I'm not worried about other people judging me or whatever, and I can just be this weird person that I like to be, still this kid at heart who's very curious, who likes to research and read books, and I'm very expressive. That's why I like doing YouTube videos. I have multiple YouTube channels, and I get invited out to things. Now that I've become somewhat of an influencer, micro influencer on social media. I've built up more friends, but a lot of them it's just very shallow level. They're more just like acquaintances. I don't know if I could really depend on them if I needed to. And I know that I'm cautious of who I associate and hang out with too much now, because I know that when you hang out with other people, if you're not careful, that they can start to, because you want to fit in by them, and we're social creatures and we're tribal creatures, and we want to be fit in with other people. Sometimes we can lower our standards just to get other people to like us, just like what I did myself. And even after I had broke away from my old lifestyle, I still had a lot of these destructive habits, these addictions that I built up, such as smoking weed. Yeah, because I was smoking so long every day, trying to fit in with other people and dealing and things like that. I still had that addiction with me, and in healing that part of me, and finally learning to live by myself on my own, for years sober, I've become very protective of who I keep around me, and it's because I don't want to get manipulated, and I know that I'm a social creature, and I know that all of us are social creatures, and I don't want to lower my standards just to get other people to like me. And it's okay. I accept myself now for being a weirdo, for being the way that I am, and I guess the reason why I'm sharing this is because I feel like I'm probably not the only one who's like this as well, who wasn't the weirdo in school or whatever. That it's okay to be a loner and to blaze your own path, and to not have a huge social clique and a huge social circle, and always being out with other people. New Year's is coming up in a couple of days, and I don't have any plans. The past couple of years, I've just stayed home by myself. No plans, nothing. Like a dork, just by myself, writing in my journal and things like that. But those have been my favorite New Year's out of any New Year's that I've ever spent. And I love, like tonight, I feel very at peace right now. I'm excited. I've been cleaning up around my house. I have a book that I'm about to start reading. I'm excited to start reading. And I also want to start writing in my journal, and I'm expressing myself in this channel right here. And like I said, I guess the reason why I'm sharing this is because it's okay to blaze your own path in life, and not to, we live in a culture, in a society that puts a lot of pressure on us to be someone that we're not. If you're a female, you're getting so much pressure from society to cover yourself with makeup and get enhanced in every which way, that basically it's telling you that you're not good the way you are. And if you're a man, we have so much pressure from society that we always got to be alpha at all times, and you gotta be surrounded by women in fancy cars, and we see the magazines, the guys who are jacked up on steroids and things like this, telling it's they get this body just because they eat this certain diet and blah blah blah, and that you got to be a man you got to be successful, and you can never show any emotions, and there's so much pressure put on us from society to be a certain way, whether you're a man or female. And when you're by yourself, in your own, that's when you can get back to the core of who you really are before life manipulated you and changed you so much. I mean, let me ask you, do you really know who you are? And think about that. I mean, who are you? Are you, you can say, oh, my name's, George Demanian. I'm a dad, I'm an entrepreneur, but who am I really, aside from all this stuff? When you think of the bigger picture, aside from all the social conditioning of, my name, what is that? That's just a couple letters put together, and, my identity is not my career, my identity is not, who I am in my community. Who are we really? And I know this may seem deep, but I think it's important for us to break free from, to take times to reflect and to break free from the mold in which society tries to put us into this cookie cutter mold that, you got to be like this in order to fit in. You got to have, to fit in, you got to have, a mortgage, and you got to have a certain car to fit in with everybody. You got to have a certain job. If you just want to be the type of person that lives a simple life, then it's like, oh, what? But who are you really? And it's okay. And I think that's one thing that you'll find when you get away from all the noise and away from other people, that you can go back to that quiet place and realizing, what, I am enough. That you are enough. That you don't need all this other garbage. You don't need to. You don't need all this stuff. You don't need to have a certain career. You don't need to be anybody to make your dad happy, to make your mom happy, to make your community happy. You don't need the latest gadget. You don't need a certain amount of money in your bank account. You don't need a mortgage. Even if you're just living in a crappy apartment, it's your home. Who cares? And when you get back to that quiet place, that's when you realize, then you take the time to reflect on it. You turn off the social media, comparing yourself to other people, and you get back, and I am enough. And as you do this, and you get back to the core of who you are, whoever you really are, that curious, expressive person, because we all are curious. We're all expressive and longing to be authentic. And as we get back to that place, that anxiety and wanting to seek ways to get high and to run from the pain starts to diminish, because we realize that we are enough, and that we don't need to work so hard and trying to be somebody that we're not, and that if we're not that person, then we're not good enough. So we need to smoke weed, or we need to drink, or we need to do drugs so that we can mask that pain because we're feeling insecure and we don't feel like we're enough. You are enough, and it's okay if you don't have it's okay if you're a weirdo like me. It's okay if you don't have a giant clique. It's okay if if you're however old you are, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and you're not a millionaire, you've gone through divorces, failures, whatever. It's okay. Who are you? Who are you at the soul level? Who are the core of who you are? None of this materialism really matters. The purpose of life is just to enjoy and to be happy and to find yourself and to be curious and to live and to explore. Not just trying to keep up to impress other people, because it's so much pressure on us to try to live up to other people's expectations. And when we're hanging out with other people, if I was to just go out right now and go hang out with some friends, go downtown and go get some drinks and go to different places, it's like, we all know that we would start to be that inauthentic version of ourselves. It just naturally tends to happen. Not saying that that's wrong at all in that, I'm never going to go out with other people. It's okay to go out with other people. It's okay to have friends and to have different sides to our personality. I'm a multifaceted person, different personalities, and I think we all do, and that's okay. But to not forget about the one that's the most important, which is the core of you on the inside. That little boy, that little girl that you used to be a long time ago that was so curious, that didn't give a damn about what other people thought about them. Didn't care about, that just laughed. That didn't need to wear makeup to impress other people. That didn't care what their body looked like, if it had a six pack and rock hard packs, and that little boy that didn't care about, how much money he had in the bank. He didn't give it. There was a time in your life you didn't give a damn how much money you had in the bank. You didn't care. You just wanted to have fun, play with your little action figures, and enjoy life. And you were curious, and just learning about the smallest things excited you. I think that's one thing I love about children is they're so excited. They get so curious and mind blown over the simplest little things, and they're not thinking about, does my t-shirt look good? Is this, am I fitting in? Is my, am I too fat? Am I overweight? Am I this, that? Or, do I look good enough? Or, am I going to be able to, make my family proud of me and happy? No, go back to the little boy, that little girl that was just curious and just in the moment. And when you get back to going on your own path and forgetting about all the nonsense, you can start to get back to that place again and to remember. And it feels so good. That's why I say one of the, the most peaceful time in my life. As much as I love my family, love my friends, I'm grateful for my friends, I'm grateful for all my family, but I love myself. And I don't mean that just in some bullshit, cheesy way. I love myself. I've come to, it's been such a journey for me to get back to this place. And near destroying my spirit and my soul to get back to this place where I can be comfortable just on my own every single weekend, staying in by myself with no plans, not having to worry about, being invited out to this event or this, just being on my own and lonesome. It feels so good to be back to that place again. And I believe that that's a big part of what causes us to be addicts and to always seek ways out to find pleasures, because we're trying to hide. We've forgotten about that part of us, that core part of who we are. We're trying to hide it, and it hurts. It's so much pressure on us to live an inauthentic life, and so it's like I said, it's okay. Embrace it, enjoy it. If you don't have a lot of friends and you're a weirdo, you're single, you have a hard time getting a date or whatever, forget all that. Appreciate this time on your own, because there may not always be a time when you have this time to really be by yourself. Maybe someday you will be married with a family and all these things like that, and you'll have a lot more people want all your time right now. But and if you are married, then carve some time out of your week every week to just be on your own. But to know that you are enough as the way you are, and you don't need anything else in this world. You don't need $1 more. You don't need to have a certain body. You don't need to have anything. You are enough and complete the way that you are. I remember I used to volunteer at a soup kitchen, and I remember I remember this guy used to come in, and he believed he was a king, and and he was this homeless guy, and everybody called him the king, and because in his mind he was crazy, he thought he was a king, but he was so happy all the time. Who gets more enjoyment out of life? That guy, the one who truly believed that he was a king, homeless though, always was smiling, laughing, held himself like he was king, or the person that's a millionaire, that's miserable, got ulcers, they're in a marriage that they hate, they're buying crap that they don't even like to try to impress, they're buying stuff that they don't even want to impress people that they don't even like, just accumulating more stuff, trying to keep up to create this fake shell of a life. And this is why we see so many celebrities commit suicide, overdose on drugs, and so many big influencers on social media just totally, obsessed with their body and their appearance, because they've forgotten about the core of who they are, and they're more concerned with trying to impress other people. And although people like that may seem happy on the outside, on the inside, they're hurting. And that you can be richer with nothing at all than the people that seem to have everything. And so it's not about comparing yourself to other people. It's about loving yourself and accepting what you have right now and what you got. And no matter how weird you are, no matter if you got a belly, you got acne, you're balding, love yourself as you are. It's all good. You're an amazing person. And even if nobody else sees it, you can become your own best cheerleader and your own best fan. And I think that's what's, one of the biggest things that's changed for me is I've come to love and see myself as, my own champion. And I have my moments all the time. But that's why I like to take times out by myself to remember who I truly am. So guys, hope you all just want to share a quick message from the heart. Hope you're having a great day, a great week, a great month. Let's make it a great year. Let's make it a great life. See ya.